Oh, welcome back to Lost Records. It's time for the music video scene. This is a really interesting one to me for a lot of reasons. It's also the part where I noticed that a lot of the wiring is very sloppy and it's going to get worse, and we'll explain that as we go through. Well, the weirdest thing about this to me is that there's really no sign that this is about making a music video. The girls say it is, and there's one optional scene where you can film them playing air guitar, but they don't really have anything related to music videos going on here. There's no instruments, for example. And when you put the music video together, it's literally just random clips of the girls hanging out, and the backing track is just a random guitar noodling. It's not a song. So it's tough for me to say that this feels very convincing as a music video. But it does feel extremely convincing as four girls hanging out in the woods for a day. And that's really what it's about. It's about the decompression and realizing that just hanging out, spending time together is the joy to be had in this relationship. So from that perspective, it's very effective. One of the most immediately interesting choices that the devs made is that this scene unfolds in radically different ways according to a bunch of random stuff, and you'd have no way of knowing that that's the case unless you replay the game multiple times. Right now you're looking at the "yes, I sometimes like to drink a drink" opening. Would you like to see the alternative, which is the "no, I didn't really drink very much back then" opening?
Okay, Nora. How many times are you gonna cop a squat?
Nice technique, Nora. 10 points from the French judge.
It's not my fault if beer goes straight through me.
Plus, you guys made me drink alone, so I had to drink it all.
No one forced you to drink it all.
Now, obviously, the biggest difference is that Autumn doesn't get this extraordinarily well-delivered line, and I'm not joking, this is maybe my favorite line of hers in terms of just pure delivery.
No one forced you to drink it all.
Love that. But depending on whether you decided to say that you liked drinking or not 2 hours ago in a throwaway scene in the future, you get a completely different scene. In one version of this scene, you are an obsessive nerd that just records absolutely everything and is here to record a music video. We're shooting footage for a music video, everybody. Let's shoot some footage for our music video. And in the other version of this scene, you're drunk and you're hanging out with friends because that's fun. And you spend the whole time hitting on Nora. It is almost impossible to overstate how different these two characterizations are. And it just is randomly according to whether you said that you were okay drinking or not in a different scene without any reference to the fact that it would make this radically different character out of you. In addition, the scene has a number of elements to it that are completely optional and can just be completely and totally missed, including the air guitar scene. You'd think the air guitar scene would be a core part of filming a music video, but no, you can just miss it, and it's really easy to miss because it's just a random side path in the middle of nowhere that has a little white circle on it if you get close enough. The scene is so bizarrely put together, it's difficult to talk about. It can unfold in so many different ways, it's hard to know what the correct interpretation is. But let's talk a little bit about the core of the scene, which is the camcorder. The camcorder isn't just a cute characterization thing. It's pretty core to the way that the game unfolds. It's a framing device. It allows us to film and reinterpret the scene according to whatever we need to do, right? If you play the game not drunk, it becomes the main way that you interact with these girls. It becomes the only way that you have any connection to these girls until the very end of this scene. Add to that the fact that after the end of the scene, they immediately say that the camcorder does magical shit, like literal zappy zappy magical shit. It seems like they're trying to make the camcorder really central to the overarching narrative, right? But it's not. In fact, this is pretty much the only other time you ever hear from it as a significant characterization tool or framing device, which is a weird choice. But the weirder choice is the fact that you never feel anything through it. This is one of the things that really threw me for a loop. Here, let me show you. So this is arguably the most beautiful sequence in the game. It's definitely the one the devs tried to make the most beautiful. And while we initially do a little bit of filming, we then instantly stop filming and forget all about filming until the very end where we catch like an 80s freeze frame. This is, in my opinion, an absolute betrayal of our character. Now, I understand why they did it. They wanted these 4 girls to bond, and the best way to have that happen was for them to just bond without any sort of other stuff hanging over their head. But I have a really hard time accepting that. I feel that this scene would have been stronger if we were a film nerd. Imagine us trying to capture these scenes and failing instead of just not even noticing them. Imagine us noticing that these scenes are beautiful and then realizing we can't capture them with a camera. That would have given our character some pathos, some power. We could have taken it in any direction we want. We could have even egged Nora on there by filming her while she was trying to sit down and that sort of stuff. But we don't. We also don't put aside the camera on purpose. We don't decide not to film Nora because it would be gross. We don't decide not to film the sunset because it's, too nice to film. We just forget that we're the film nerd, even though we are explicitly here as the film nerd to capture the most beautiful footage we can find of these girls we're with. But no, we just forgot about it. Sorry. Oops. Oh, again, I understand that this is because the writers didn't want to interfere with the moments where these 4 gel as a group, but it robs our character, the main character, of all of her power. If she had something to care about here, something where she realizes she's not good enough, where she realizes she needs to buckle down and learn, or where her confidence gets shaken, that would have given our character some important motivation, some power. Instead, we kind of just drift through the rest of the story. Kat takes control from here, and we basically just follow her around. I think that's a little bit unfortunate. It feels like this was a real missed opportunity. And now we're going to discuss some spoilery stuff. In the previous episode, we talked a lot about motivated actions. The idea is that your characters care about stuff, and that's why your scenes matter. Now, I feel that us deciding not to care about our movie making until the last possible second here really did us a disservice. But there is also something very, very strange happening here. They decide to introduce the supernatural stuff. So, spoiler alert, the game is about Kat, the little blonde girl. She's dying, and she is trying to find something to do with the last embers of her life. The last few months that she has, she wants to do something, anything that will make it seem like she had some reason to be alive.
Do you ever think about how, life goes by really fast? I want this summer to go by slow. Is that weird?
Only 1 more year.
Yeah.
And, all of the magic shit that happens in this game is her. It represents her life burning out. They make Kat responsible for every supernatural thing in the game overtly in the text of the story. So why are we introducing the supernatural shit by making it take over our camcorder? It's very clear Kat has no idea what's going on. Why is it our camcorder doing this magical shit? To make matters worse, the girls can't see VHS demon lines. Those are things they can't see. Only the player can see those, but that's not clear. So right now, the player is assuming that the girls are seeing my camcorder summon VHS Satan. Seems kind of important, right? None of the girls remember it, though, because it turns out that to them, it was just a weird power fluctuation. We're the only ones that saw VHS Satan. And the game didn't bother to tell us. And the game also assigned it to us. It made us the source. It gave it to our camcorder. Cat's the source. Why the fuck is it coming from our camcorder? Why are you trying to make our camcorder so important if you're just going to throw it away? Now, logically, sure, our camcorder is the way that we view the stuff that happened last night that we forgot. That makes sense. There's something magical going on, we recorded it, we forgot. But why does it happen to itself? That doesn't make any sort of sense in terms of the emotional connection. Cat should be the one that goes over to our camcorder and says, hey, did you film anything else? And we go, no, that's it. And then Cat hits play, and then that plays, and we go, oh, we did film something else. And then you get VHS Satan. That would make it clear that Cat is the one that's responsible, because she is. That would remove some of the power from our camcorder and put it onto Cat. It would make it clear that we're using the camcorder as a framing device for the supernatural stuff, not as the supernatural stuff. In general, the supernatural stuff is a super interesting idea that never really gelled for me, and we'll talk about that more in some other episode. There are obvious reasons why it might not be aimed at me, but in this episode, I just wanted to talk about how powerful the camcorder is and how it never really gets properly used. It doesn't build any sort of characterization. It doesn't build any pathos. It gets quickly forgotten. It gets misused and starts to distract from the actual point of the various scenes. In the end, obviously, anybody can say, well, if I had been writing it, it would have been perfect. And, you know, there's always a risk that you're going to be just plain doofy, just plain wrong, just plain stupid and misunderstanding. But I can't help but feel that the camcorder was the strongest framing device, and it never got used to its fullest extent. The ability to gain some distance from events and film them for later perusal, that is an incredibly powerful tool, especially in a supernatural plotline where there's incomprehensible supernatural shit happening. Especially if, hint, hint, we're an obsessive movie nerd that would push the participants to do stuff that they wouldn't normally be willing to do. It doesn't really get used for that. Instead, we sort of stop mattering. I have a hard time believing that this is the best they could have done with this story. Obviously, my internal fanfic is so much better. Yeah, whatever. Next episode, we'll talk a little bit more about some other stuff, I'm sure.
Plus, you guys made me drink alone, so I had to drink it all.
No one forced you to drink it all.